Hello.
Hola.
Hey, how are you doing?
Okay, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Um,
You're right. I'm very well, thank you.
yeah, I'm very, very well. How's that?
All
That's
right, that's better.
very cool. Um, right on. So you want to just get to it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we get to it, you realize I'm going to put this on local TV here on our show, and it'll be on the podcast and
Right.
etc. Okay.
Awesome. Sure. Yeah. And just send me the link so I can put it on all my networking and get you some more traffic.
Okay. Right on. I appreciate that. Um,
Sure.
so let's just do this. Okay. So I'm gonna, for editing purposes, I'm just doing an intro. Etc. Before we do begin, is there anything you don't want to talk about?
Oh no, you can. If I don't, you'll know. But I'm
Okay.
pretty open about everything. I mean, you can talk about whatever you want to
Okay.
talk about. If I don't feel comfortable about it, because I can't think anything right now that I am uncomfortable about. But if it
Okay,
comes
good.
up, I'll just. But you're doing video too, yeah, or
Yes.
just audio?
Yes, I'm
Okay. Yeah.
recording the video. Okay.
Okay.
So bear with me because I'm a bit nervous because I don't, I'm treading in waters up with my show today that I'm hoping to learn stuff today.
Awesome. That's
Okay.
why I do these kind of
Okay.
things. That's
Good.
totally awesome.
Good. Okay. So I might come out with some questions that maybe I don't know. Okay, here we go. So I'll just do a little intro. Hey everybody, it's me, Ronnie Rucker. This week, lucky to have Buck Angel, pioneering filmmaker, speaker, advocate, and more on the show. Buck, thanks for being on. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on. I totally appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you being on. Let's. I thought we would talk about a lot of stuff, but first thing, I'm half Mexican. I'm very proud of it. You are in Mexico right now, correct?
Yes, I am. Yes, sir. I'm in the Yucatan part of Mexico.
What is it about Mexico that made you want to live there?
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a hard question. Well,
Do you,
not a hard question, but it's a long. Um, uh, prim- First, I was going to start speaking Spanish. First, I kind of just what happens in the adult industry. There was a lot of stuff going on when Bush was in office, and they were really changing the laws around my work in the adult industry. And there was something called the obscenity law, which is still happening there. And they could just basically arrest you for obscenity, which is such a vague term. I got scared a little bit because really my work could be considered obscene by many people. So I started looking for places to live outside of the U.S. With my wife, and then a friend said, check out this part of Mexico, which I never heard of. And then this is funny. So then I found this part of Mexico. I loved it. I actually bought a house the first time I came here. And then I was living in New Orleans, and Hurricane Katrina hit. And Hurricane Katrina hit hard, as you know. And I tried to go back and live there afterward, and it was devastating for us. We lived there for a long time, and I just said, I have this amazing home in Mexico. Why am I suffering here in the United States? Which New Orleans was like a third world country after Hurricane Katrina, and in ways it still is. So I picked up all my stuff, and I sold my place, and I left, and I came here 5 years ago, and I never looked back.
are you a Mexican citizen now?
No, no. I actually am. I just have a visa, a special visa. I've been here 5 years, and then I think in another 2 years I can apply for citizenship, which I will do. But I'm not going to give up my American citizenship. I'll have dual citizenship.
Oh, that's cool. So you're sort of like an
Yeah,
outlaw, sort of. Yeah,
exactly.
that's pretty hot. That's pretty hot. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that we want to talk to. Can we just let the
Yeah,
talk about like
yeah.
the elephant in the room, for lack of a better word? You were born, you were born a female,
Yes, yes, I
and
was.
you live your life as a male today.
Yes, yes, I do.
Is that the wrong way to say that? You live your life as a male, or
No.
is the right way to say you are a man?
I just have to let you know that I'm not PC and I don't
Uh-huh.
have PC terminology,
Okay.
and I leave that up to a lot of other people who are very very adamant about words, and I'm not, and
Okay.
because I'm a teacher. I teach about what I do, and people like you don't understand, so they might not understand. Not people like you, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Lots of people don't understand. So if I start using really politically correct words, that's going to mix you up even more. Nothing. Things don't hurt my feelings. I just want you to know. So if you say something like, "Well, how can you be a man?" So
Yeah.
there's no correct way for myself. Yes, I live my life as a man. I'm a dude. That's how I live my life. People look at me that way, and that's just like however you want to call me. I don't really care as long as you spell my name right. I really don't care.
Okay. Good. Good. That makes it a lot easier. So I'm just
Yeah,
gonna.
totally.
I see man, so it's easy
Thank
just to
you.
be like man. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were born a female, living. You are a man now. How
Yes.
how did you come to that like where you're born that way, correct? When did you know that you were gonna live your life as a man?
Hmm. Honestly, I always felt like a little boy. My parents pretty much raised me as a little boy. They called me Buck. I played with all the boys. They bought me a GI Joe. They bought my sister's Barbie doll. I was really literally raised as a little boy until I got to puberty, and obviously things started to change because I was really a little girl. I wasn't a little boy, and I started growing breasts and getting menstruating and all these things. And so I always felt like a boy. And then it was very traumatic for me to have to live in a girl's body. To answer the question, I always felt that way and I always knew it. I just never had the information because was no information when I did this 20 years ago. There was no information to say you could actually change your gender. It was like, oh, if you act the way I did, you are a gay woman. Because, I'm a woman and I'm attracted to women and I'm very masculine. I must be a big dyke. Do you know what I mean? So there wasn't, I always felt that way, but it was very difficult for me to get here because nobody had the means or the ways to tell me it was okay for me to actually change my gender.
So at what point, when did you decide to make the gender change?
Mm-hmm. You don't have to say gender. I just said that. The sex change is cool too.
I think sex change sounds kind of weird to me.
Really? I like sex change because it's so like old school. It's like, you got a sex change. Yeah, it sounds hardcore.
Okay, when did you decide to do the sex change?
I did it like about 20 years ago, a long time ago, and in my late 20s, and I did it out of desperation, and I did it out of the need to either do it. I literally had to find a way to do this, or I was going to kill myself. I tried to commit suicide a couple of times. I was raging alcoholic. I was a raging drug addict, coke addict, living on the streets, smoking crack, imagine the worst. That was me. Honestly, I shouldn't even be sitting here talking to you. It was like somehow I saw a film because I started to get sober before I did my change. And I saw a film that had a woman who changed to a man. It was a documentary, just this artsy documentary. And it was like a total light bulb went on in my head. And I was like, oh my God, you can actually change you can change. You can go from a woman to a man. And no one told me this. Like, nobody told me. No therapist that I had been going to, nobody. And I started to sort of research the information. And back when I did it, there was no Google. 20 years ago, right? There was no the internet. There was no Google. I had to do it all sort of old school, going to the bookstore, finding magazines that had transsexual women, which, is a man who becomes a woman, and finding doctors that dealt with them. And I called some doctor up, and it just sort of progressed from there. I was really a guinea pig, because nobody had worked with a woman who wanted to become a man before. All the doctors I worked with, I was there first. There goes my dogs. I have a pack of dogs
nice.
Here.
I looked at your website. I've seen a lot of pictures of the dogs.
Oh, cool.
What you got the sex change 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What did a sex change include 20 years ago?
Okay.
It must be different today.
Yeah. No, not really. It's pretty much, they just don't call it a sex change anymore. Now they call it a gender change because sex and gender are two different things, which I totally get. But I think because I did it so many years ago, when I did it, it was called a sex change. So in a way, it is a sex change. But what that consisted of was first going to a therapist and talking about it and sort of living my life as Buck and not as Susan, and just being this man. And then from that, I found this hormone doctor who dealt only with men who wanted to become women, and he started to teach me how to take testosterone shots. And he little by little, he started with a teeny little bit, like that much, and he progressed till he felt like we both felt I was stable, and he showed me how to start injecting the testosterone and set me on my way. And I was doing that for 2 years, and then I investigated to have top surgery, which was to have my breasts removed. And again, there was no doctors who had ever done that before in the United States, and the ones that I wanted to go see all basically wanted to make huge scars and just basically rip my breasts off my chest. And they were very rude, and if you want it, this is what can be done. And they weren't at all caring about it. They just were like, this is what we're going to do. And I felt very uncomfortable with many of the doctors until I found one who was really amazing. And he was out of the UCLA clinic in Los Angeles and private practice in Beverly Hills. And I knew because he worked with men who had gynecomastia, which is men who have, breast tissue that looks more like female breasts. So I thought that's what I have. And I went to him and he was like, he was like, ooh, this is so cool. I never met anybody like you and I would love to do this. And he did it and he did an amazing job. And so that was what consisted of gender reassignment or sex change for me. And I got to that point and I felt still not wholly as a man because, as you know, right, men need a penis. And so now you can get to asking me about that because I'm sure that's the important question.
It's one of the questions that I wanted to ask you about. Look, you're a pretty manly dude. Like I see you. You're intimidating. You're a big dude. You're like buff, and you're pretty. You look pretty rock solid there, dude. But you got a vagina.
Yes.
Yes. And that must be kind of awkward for you a bit. I mean, maybe not awkward at this point. Like maybe awkward for others, I guess. Let's just talk about it. You have a vagina.
Right.
Nice vagina. Apparently. Look, I'll tell. Like, can I just be honest with you? I'm sitting with my wife last night, and I had the intern Mark go out and pick up fucking more bang for the buck.
Awesome.
Right?
Awesome.
And so, we perused it. We watched it. Or watched a little bit of it. My wife was put aback by your vagina a bit.
Cool.
And like, I guess your clitoris. I mean, let's just get to it, right? Your clitoris is kind of famous. Like there's a lot of pictures of that shit, right? Right? Is it safe to assume that your clitoris is the most famous clitoris in the world?
Well, I think between me and China, remember China, the wrestler woman? I think hers might be a tad bit, I don't know, I think I might be catching up with her, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure. But I think she's a little bit more famous than I am because she just has more exposure being a wrestler.
Yeah. So why do you decide not to make a penis? I guess when you're deciding to become a man, what the decision to not create the penis, I guess is the right word. Where do you decide not to do that, or like that's the line you apparently drawn?
I didn't. I actually wanted to for many years because, like I said, as far as I know, and everybody in the world knows, to be a man you need a penis, and to be a woman you need a vagina, and it's pretty black and white, right? And we're all taught that as children, and we're taught that in sex ed class, and we're taught that as we're adults. And men love their penises, and they, pretty much, I think, really to be a man, you are so connected to your penis. That's what makes you. It's frightening for men to think about losing their penis. It's not the same for a woman with her vagina. She doesn't feel that connected to her vagina. But to be a man, it's all about your penis. Yeah. And so I researched and I researched and I researched and I researched for years because I wanted to have a nice penis. And I wanted to have a working penis, and I wanted to have, a functioning penis like you and every other biological man. And it just was not there for me. I could not find one. The things they wanted to do to me, which was to, take tendons out of my arm and stuff off of my back, and then they mold it into a penis, and then it doesn't really get a hard-on, and you cannot urinate through it. At the time, it's changed a little since then. But again, this is about me. It's not so much about the trans male community. This is all my decision. And one day I just sort of woke up and I realized I sort of am like a person who was born without arms or legs, or a person who is black, or a person who is Latino and cannot change that thing about themselves. They have to learn to accept it, or you will live in a miserable life for the rest of your life because you'll always be sort of like wanting to attain something that you cannot get. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So I knew it. It was just like, oh my God, I have to learn to love my vagina. It wasn't easy for me. I'm totally honest with you. It was not easy for me, but it was like I was determined because of where I came from, and because I was so comfortable in my own skin and my own body, and I was coming into becoming a man, and I was growing facial hair, and I was getting muscles, and I was like, my vagina is making me hold back from the world is not okay, because I don't care. I had to learn not to care what other people thought of me. I was sick and tired of worrying about that. And it was just like, I really forced myself into loving my vagina. And then once I did that, it was like, literally, I'm not kidding you, man, my whole life changed. And it wasn't like all of a sudden I did porn. That came much later on. But I knew that it was now I was fully in my body and I was okay and I didn't really need the penis. It was like it went out the door, went out my head. I didn't need to have the penis to be the man. And my girlfriends were fine with it. Everybody, when I had sex, was fine with it. So really, if you think about it, then why did I really need the penis? I have 5 of them in my drawer. I have different colors, different sizes. I don't have a bother getting a hard on. It's like, okay, I can go all night long.
That sounds like a perk, I guess. Here's a question. Like this, as a man, first, you know what it's like to be a woman from all aspects of being a woman.
Sure.
You now are a man. You live your life as a man. There's aspects of being a man that you feel and have. Are there any aspects that you found about being a man that suck? Like you wish you didn't have?
But they're very physical stuff. I mean, they're more like it's more like the hair stuff. This is a podcast. I don't really know how.
No, it doesn't matter. You can say whatever. We're on the TV show. We're late night. You can say whatever.
Awesome. Butt hair. I really started freaking out. I got butt hair. And I was like, oh, this is so gross. I can't deal with my butt hair. And I hate shaving. See, it's all superficial stuff. It's all superficial, like dumb stuff. I would say other than the superficial dumb stuff, I love being a man. I love the way people treat me. I love it being in my body and feeling masculine, whatever that means, because everyone has different ideas of what masculinity is. And for me, it's more about I am a little bit of a macho guy, but I also am a sensitive guy. But it's just for me, the hair and the shaving. Even though I wanted the hair, I never ask for things because they will come to you and tenfold, and there I am with a big bush in my ass. I'm like, what is this?
It's not superficial. Nose hair bugs the shit out of me. Like it's it's like, oh my god, like why is this? It's coming out of my ears and shit. It's not superficial. It's real.
It's real.
It's real. Okay, so you just said you're super okay with yourself. You got to a point where you were 100%. I'm fine with myself. Is this where going out and advocating comes into play in your life?
Yeah, sort of. What happened was I was working in adult film, but I was making fetish films. And I had a dominatrix wife, and we were doing this whole great, amazing, dungeon thing. And it was way early in the internet, adult internet, and I was making a lot of money, and I was like, just very successful learning. I taught myself how to make films, and I was all behind the scenes. And I was working with a transsexual woman's website. Because of working with that transsexual woman's website, I realized, wow, there's nobody like me, a transsexual man, in pornography. No, it's like, it's just like, honestly, cartoon, light bulb, picture that. I totally had it. It was like, oh my God. And so I just, talked to my wife about it, and then she was like, Buck, if you do this, you will change the world. And I laughed at her, and I said, I'm just making porn. I had no intention of sitting here talking to you about other things. I just wanted to make something that I felt was needed in the adult industry respectfully. I know people will laugh. Well, porn isn't. Trust me, in the adult industry, they can take things and make them into disrespectful, which they did a lot with transsexual women. They can take things and make it, they could just call it ugly stuff. And I just knew that, she-male is sort of a derogatory statement for a lot of those women, and chick with a dick. Those are all, for me, it's not. That's why I call myself the man with the pussy. For me, it's not. It's actually Thank you.
Yeah, it's super owning it. It's super owning it.
I'm owning it. Yeah. What are you going to do about it, right? So I did it. I started making films, and I started making a website, and the adult industry was completely mortified by me. They would not let me in that door, meaning they would not support me. They were, which is kind of interesting, don't you think, for an adult industry that basically has everything you can think of, right? Google anything. Google bubblegum porn.
Right.
Yeah, it's there. And they were freaked out by me. Long story short, finally, 3 years later, I busted through the door by winning, the biggest award you can win in the adult industry, which is the Adult Video News Award. And I was the first man of transsexual man to get nominated. I was the first man ever to win. I still am. And that was in 2007. And I just kept going with my films. Then finally I started realizing, how many films can I make? Like, I can't make 500 Buck Angel films. It's the same thing over and over. It's kind of boring. And I kind of started feeling a little bored with it in a sense, making porn. And people started contacting me, like you, all across the world. This is amazing. What are you doing? And then it sort of, turned into speaking. And I started realizing my message was bigger than just about porn. It was about loving your body. It's not about being a transsexual man. That's not what my work is about. It's about you as a person and teaching you that whatever you hate about yourself, whatever it is, it could be a many, many, many different things. You have the power to change that, and you have the power to live a life that is so amazing you can't even imagine. I tried to kill myself. I shouldn't. Like, I'm sitting here. Like, I think that is such a powerful statement. I realized I have to share that with the world. And so that's how I got from basically going into educating, and now traveling the world and talking at all different kinds of things, media, universities, everywhere.
When you're out there talking, doing your, like, speaking to people, it's not just about this, right? Is it motivational too? Like,
yes, I consider myself, yes.
So it's you don't go into these places and it's like, let's talk about your vagina and your life like that, right? It's about knowing yourself and stuff like that. Do you get a good response from all of this?
Wow, it's shocking. That's why I kept going, because like the last place I spoke, I got a standing ovation, which blew me away. I spoke at a school that's a straight, the people that came to see me were not trans people and not, gay people, and they were just a straight student body, and they stood, and people came to me afterward and were like crying, and like, what, like, that impact is huge for me, that I could change maybe one person's life who just doesn't feel comfortable in their body, or, whatever the situation is. So yeah, it's like super empowering to be able to, I do obviously touch on my surgery, but it is way far from what, I don't talk about my porn work a lot. It's part of just about that much of what I talk about. I just talk about mostly about my life and where I came from and why I got here and how I got here and what I intend to hopefully do to change the world.
So on that advocating note, I went to your website and I scrolled down and checked out a lot of it, and I saw your little video that you posted in advocating for the Girl Scouts when they had their little drama with the cookies, right? And
drama,
right? The drama with the cookies, right? It was kind of everywhere. There was a few days where it was like, the cookies, right?
Yeah.
So I saw you took the stance like, fuck everybody else. It's the Girl Scouts. Recognize and eat Thin Mints, right?
Totally.
Right. So you were a Girl Scout when you were a child. Mm-hmm. Did you want to be a Boy Scout?
Of course. Okay. Oh my God, are you kidding me? I craved to be a Boy Scout, but I was a girl. Even though I said my parents raised me as a boy, I was a girl, obviously. I mean, it's like they just were cool about me playing G.I. Joe and Army and hanging out with the boys. That's what I mean, and calling me Buck. It wasn't like I was a boy. They just were cool about tomboy. I don't know, the terminology tomboy. That's basically what I was. And, I only played with boys. I didn't really play with the girls. And so, yeah, I was a Girl Scout, but I loved being a Girl Scout because they had a uniform, which is very masculine, even though it was a dress. Yeah. Those pictures that you see in the video are from my school pictures. I would wear my uniform to take a school picture, and because I had a bow tie, and even though it was a dress, it was still a uniform. So and then, like I said in the video, the girls, they treated me like a little boy. I never felt uncomfortable in Girl Scouts. I always felt very comfortable there.
How do you feel? You're super pro the Girl Scouts. Now, Boy Scouts get the Boy Scouts. Just like I don't know much about the Boy Scouts. You tell me, what are the Boy Scouts? This is what they do. They're super homosexuals.
Of course,
right?
They are.
How do you feel about the Boy Scouts?
Yeah, that's a great question, by the way. I honestly haven't put my attention towards that because I was a Girl Scout, so I have, firsthand experience with that, and I don't really have experience with the Boy Scouts, and I haven't really taken the time to research that. But thank you for saying that. I'm going to write that down, and I am going to do some research on that and find out what their, agenda is if a trans, boy like myself wanted to get into Boy Scouts now. Would they be okay with doing that? That's a very, very good question, and I will do some research for you because I don't know. Yeah. I know, obviously, a lot of the more male organizations, the Army, things like that, they're very homophobic. And I think it's because men are in close quarters with each other, and men always, for some reason, like man-on-man action freaks people out.
Oh, you did the Gets Better campaign.
Yes.
How do you feel about that? And seeing that 20 years ago, you started this journey in your life to changing your sex. Has it gotten better?
Oh yeah, that's why. First off, why I did the "It Gets Better" video is because my life did get better. Like I said, in the video, I said how I tried to kill my. It was funny. I kind of feel embarrassed about the video because I got emotional and I started crying, and I like my image of macho and men don't cry, which is total bullshit.
Right.
But
They all do.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And that's why. So after I did the video, and then I looked at it when I was editing it, and I was like mortified, and I was like, I can't put this on the internet; it will ruin my image. And then it was like a split second. I said, I have to put this on the internet. It's not about me. It's about some poor little kid who's suffering hard right now and has no idea that it can actually get better. And so I did, and then it became like, Dan Savage, who's a friend of mine, was like, fuck, you totally rock. And so, yes, my life got better, 100 million times better. And that's the point, is I have to share that with the world. I don't think that, I was just put here because, okay, God decided now your life is better, and that's okay. I really think I went through that traumatic experience to share, to help other people say, you know what, just make the effort. If you really want to make the effort, you can change anything. It sounds simple, and it is simple, but you have to do the footwork. It just doesn't drop out of the sky for you.
Okay, can we get into some questions about the business that you were in, I guess, the pornography, just a little bit?
Yeah.
Like I said, I did watch a little bit.
Yeah, I still am.
Okay, good. I did watch a little bit of this More Bang for Your Buck. The first thing that stuck out here, videos are kind of hard to find. DVDs are hard to find nowadays. I had the intern run out, and I know a cat that used to work at a local porn store that is now closed down because of the internet. And you're still there, right? And he found this.
Yeah.
He found this. He got this. The first thing that struck out, which I thought was really cool, was that it says file under white guy.
I know.
Is that weird?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you right now. That company, Robert Hill, that was the company that totally screwed me over. It's good that you have that, actually. They signed me to a 12-picture deal when I first started, and I took it because I knew it would get my foot in the door. And there we are with the scummy side of the adult industry, because there's a scummy side, like all gangster, old school. Think about it. It's totally that way. They totally screwed me over, and they started doing weird stuff on my box covers like that, and like trying to make me a freak. And that was the whole point of my work, was to not make me a freak. And then the next one they wanted to name Freak of Buck Angel, Freak of Nature. I freaked out, and I was like, you're totally going against our contract. And then they stopped paying me. And then it was good for me because I got out of the contract, and that's how I started Buck Angel Entertainment. But that's honestly not my idea. It was their kind of, I think it is funny. I don't take offense to it, but it wasn't where I wanted to go at the time. That was like my third, I think that was my second or third movie that I released, maybe. And I've released, I think, 10 or 11 movies.
Okay, so like I said, I was watching this with my wife. First thing she asked me, there are these men that are having sex with you that are basically, there's dudes here having sex with you in your vagina. Are they gay?
Good question. In that film, okay, also it was very difficult for me to find men to have sex with me on camera. I could find millions of them would have sex with me off camera, but on camera it was not easy. So I think there's two guys I had sex with on there are gay men, and one guy I had sex with on there considered himself a straight man. Now, I'll tell you, the men who have sex with me and the men who buy my product are gay men, because I'm a man. My whole persona is male. They're not attracted. Gay men are attracted to masculinity. They're not attracted to femininity. So you have to understand that my vagina is just another part of my body. It's just basically it's just a hole. So it's not like, ooh, that's freaky and feminine. It's not feminine at all. And in fact, you can look at my vagina and see it's not a very feminine vagina.
It is a very masculine vagina.
It's going to get you.
Okay, is it wrong? Look, is it wrong? This is going to sound wrong, but you know what? I'll just say it. It's an angry-looking vagina. It's true. It's true. It's kind of like it's going to bite you kind of thing. Oh God!
It cracks me up.
Yeah, you're not everybody has. It sprung a long conversation with my wife about different vaginas. So it was kind of an interesting. I had to answer, how many vaginas have you seen, dear?
Exactly.
Last night, and I've seen a few, and now I've seen one more. How long you did it for a long time? right?
I'm
Like
sorry?
you made porn for a long time, right?
Yeah, I started 8 years ago. I still am doing it, but I'm getting out from in front of the camera and I'm producing and directing films now with other trans men like myself because I want to make it into a genre. It's not a genre.
Yeah.
And the way you make it into a genre is by having all different kinds of people in the genre. So my idea, I don't want to be an 80-year-old porn star. I want, it's time for me to move on and bring some young guys in and move on. And I really enjoy directing and that. So I made, I've been doing it. I was doing it for almost 8 years now.
So are you earlier you said when you first got into it you were the only man with a pussy.
Yes.
Are there a number of men with pussies now?
Well, what I said was I'm the only man with a pussy in porn.
Okay.
There are millions of guys like me. Million. If you saw me at the store, dude, or you saw me even at the gym, you would never know in a million years I had a vagina. So, now you're going to be looking, dude, because there's a lot of dudes.
Who's got vaginas in the gym, right? I want to look over and see who's got vaginas.
Totally.
Thank you for that, by the way. Now open my
Awesome.
But are there a lot lining up in the industry?
No. And it's been very difficult for me. But I did this new film called Sexing the Trans Man XXX. And I got 4 guys. And I basically made it, it's another kind of first that's never been done before. I did a docu-style porn where I interview each of the guys. In fact, after we're done, I'll get your address and I'll send you one. Cool. I'd love to get your feedback on it. And I interview the guys about their change, their sex change, and blah, blah, blah. And then I have them stripped down nude. And then I have them talk about their bodies. And then I'm going to have them go into a full masturbation scene, however that is, because they all masturbate differently, and then go to orgasm. So it's been an amazing film for me to do because people are really like, wow, this is so fascinating. I never even knew this existed. So now they're starting to get more guys because I'm really hunting and bringing them in. And I think the more comfortable they get, the more people are going to be more comfortable coming in front of the film, in front of camera.
What is it about? What is uncomfortable? Like what keeps people from getting into this business?
Yes. Not being comfortable with their vaginas. A lot of guys like me don't feel comfortable and don't feel like a man because they have a vagina. They really do. There's a huge segment of trans male population that want to get penises, and I support that 100%. Some people will tell you that I'm anti-penis. I'm not at all anti-penis surgery. I'm 100% for it. What I am is anti the fact that it has not progressed since I looked for it 20 years ago. And I think that that's shameful of the medical industry not to sort of help us to be able to feel comfortable in our bodies. And so I think with that said, I think what happens is a lot of guys are not comfortable like I am and not proud of their vaginas, and they don't feel connected to it as male, and they need to get the penis. So that's why it's harder for me to. And also, even just that aside, I mean, lots of people aren't comfortable getting in front of the camera naked and fucking, right? They're just not.
It's a special, it's a unique capability, that's for sure.
Yes.
Okay, I just got a few questions, maybe personal questions.
Okay.
I hope these aren't stupid questions, but like I said earlier, I'm really trying to learn some stuff here. Okay. How do you feel about the word tranny?
Oh, good question, man. Way to go. You're doing your homework. Okay, that's very controversial, but Buck Angel is very controversial, especially in the trans community. I don't have a lot of trans, I wouldn't say a lot. I don't have a huge support within the female to male community because I'm so outspoken about a lot of things. And, you know what happens is people take your words and they turn them around. It happens with anybody who's in the media. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, there's also groups of people that will take something and say, he said that. I never said that. Anyways, that said, I was using the word tranny 20 years ago, and I have used it, and I still use the word. I don't really consider myself a tranny. I consider myself a man, so it's not something I use, like all day or calling myself a lot of times. More in kind of, I don't know, maybe in term of endearment about, other people or myself, like, all right, we're trannies or something. Mm-hmm. I personally don't find it offensive, but some people do, and I think because some people do, I have to respect that, and I would respect the fact that they wouldn't want to be called a tranny, but they have to also respect that some of us are okay with being called a tranny. So, it's like, I guess, like the N-word. Some black people like to use the N-word, and some people think it's highly offensive. I'm not saying they're the same because they're not. It's just sort of like they're not. They're totally different words. But I'm just kind of using that as a example, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like within that community, some people would be very upset about that, or some people would be like totally cool with it. It's the same with the tranny word. It's become very political, and I think we have bigger things to fight than words.
And that's cool.
Sticks and stones, right? Like, get over it already.
Fuck that. So is there? So you don't care. So there's no pronoun that you prefer. It doesn't really matter, right?
No. People call me she, dude. People, once they find out I have a vagina, they're like, all of a sudden they slip up and start calling me she. I'm like, that's funny. How can you even think I'm a she? So I don't take offense. I don't take offense.
Okay. You take testosterone?
Mm-hmm.
You have to do that for the rest of your life, correct?
Yes.
Are you a very physical man? Like, do you get angry fast?
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. People will tell you that testosterone makes you angry, and in a sense, testosterone calmed me down.
Oh.
I used to be a very angry person. I was a fighter. I've been in jail. When I was before my sex change, I was horrible. I was a drinker, and I'd be one of those drinkers that'd be like, after, getting messed up, I'd be like, what are you looking at? Like, stupid, embarrassing stuff. Now I'm so chilled out. Like, the testosterone, really, when I don't have my testosterone, I feel a little more sort of not angry, but I feel a little more not grounded. And when I have to shoot every 10 days, so I have to get somebody to shut the dog.
That's okay. That's no big deal.
So it calms me down. So no, I think it's a misnomer, and I think people think because steroids are different than what I do. I mean, steroids are like, they're hardcore.
In my head, I was thinking testosterone steroids. No. Okay.
I mean, of course, testosterone is part of the steroid family, and but I don't take that much. I take 1 cc every 10 days. It's not that much.
What happens if you stop taking, and how fast do changes happen?
Everything you see here, hair, voice, bald head, all of that will never change. It's irreversible. What happened was about last March, almost a year ago, I had an incident where I've been on testosterone for 20 years and I never had a hysterectomy. So I still had my female reproductive organs. Though I did not have my period anymore. The testosterone shut all of that down. So what happened was my doctors kept telling me, "Oh no, Buck, it's totally cool. You don't need a hysterectomy. Everything seems fine when they're doing the exam, but they're not really examining in the uterus. They only examine to the cervix." And so what happened is I got an infection because everything atrophied because of the testosterone. It got tough. It just like closed down. I got so sick. I like literally almost died. I fell on the floor. They had to rush me to the emergency. I had to have an emergency hysterectomy. Before I had a hysterectomy, what could happen was if I stopped taking testosterone, I would start menstruating again because it would bring my ovaries back and everything would come alive. Now that they took all that out, I literally can lower my testosterone level and nothing would really happen because I'm not producing anything. I'm not even producing estrogen anymore. I'm producing nothing really. I have no testicles and I have no ovaries. So nothing really at this point. I could probably stop taking the amount of testosterone. I would say it would probably be more. I'm not willing to be the guinea pig on that one.
Right.
I think I'm trying to say
it's probably best to just keep going with what you're doing. Don't break it if it's not. Don't fix it if
right.
it's not broken, kind of thing. I get it. Here's some just regular ones from me. Do you have any celebrity crushes? I ask everybody I talk to.
That's funny. Angelina Jolie for sure.
Yeah. Cool. What kind of music do you listen to?
Oh, everybody always is very interested in my music because I think when I travel to, everyone thinks I'm a rock star. It's so funny. Like, what kind of music do you play? I'm like, I don't do music. I like all kinds of music, to be honest with you. I literally listen to everything from classical to house music to hardcore. Some of my gym music sometimes is like AC/DC hardcore, old school rock and roll that I love. That's what makes me feel. I don't have a specific type of music that I like to listen to. I'm pretty, as you see, from A to Z, pretty much.
What is a normal day in Buck Angel's life like?
Well, you're going to laugh at this. It's so funny. When I'm at home in Mexico, I wake up in the morning, I have coffee, I read my iPad newspaper, and then I eat my hardcore bodybuilding breakfast, and then I work for most of the day, editing, being on the internet, doing my websites, and then I work out. I have my own gym here. And I work out at the gym, and then my wife and I get together, and we sit on the couch in front of Netflix. And like every time we go through, right now we're watching, I think, Burn Notice. And we literally go through the whole season, and then we find another one that we like. And that's literally my day. Like at home in Mexico, that's my day. That's it. I'm not very like it's not exciting. Trust me.
Nobody's exciting. That's cool. That's like, what's really neat is that's pretty much everybody's life. I mean, it's like my life minus the working out.
Well, I sort of I love working out. I'm also a fitness person, but I also, it's sort of part of my job. I feel like it makes people even look at me more. Wow, that guy is like really masculine. So it's part of my whole persona. Does that make sense?
Yes,
like it's
yes.
sort of like it makes me even more masculine looking. It makes people look at me more that way.
It seems normal. Let's talk your tattoos really quick. I have a bunch, and I'll ask you this question. I think I know the answer already because I have the same thing. When I was little, I used to see big dudes with tattoos all over the body, and I used to say that's what a fucking man looks like. That right there is what a fucking man looks like. And I went out, 16 years old. I was like, I'm gonna become a fucking man. You get a tattoo, then you start getting more and more manly. Is that the vibe with you? Because you got a grip.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, you totally got it, dude. You hit it right on the head. Of course.
Good.
Obviously, I had some. It was prison men. The gay prison guys. Obviously, that affected me. All of my tattoos are black ink. They're not. I don't have any color. I sort of liked that vibe, so I always tried to hit that really macho vibe. But yeah, of course, and then you can't stop, right? It's addictive and it's really gross.
Well, you do look pretty macho, that's for sure, man. I don't know how. I don't know the really. This might sound really weird. One of the things that I think is pretty awesome about you, it's just you don't see. You're a fucking man. You know what I mean? That must be really awesome, considering where you started off to just be like, look at fucking me. Yeah. Yeah,
no, it is awesome. I don't pat myself on the back every day like, wow, dude, you really. I just really feel like it. I mean, I have to send you pictures of when I used to be when I was a female. I did modeling. I did fashion modeling around the world, and you'll just. I don't know if you found some on the internet.
I saw like a few.
Yeah, you can Google some. I mean, I was really like kind of girl. I was. A girl, and it wasn't that's how I looked every day because they had to put makeup on my face and stuff. But like I look at those pictures, I'm really happy I have them now because it's like, wow, I actually. What I want to say is I achieved what I wanted to achieve, which is the bottom line. I achieved it, and now my life is totally amazing, and I can't say any bad things about my life. It's just awesome.
That's cool. So if people want to find you on the internet, where do they go?
You can go to buckangel.com, and from buckangel.com you can see links to my Buck Angel Entertainment website, my adult website, all my other millions of different things I have on it. Tumblr, Facebook, all of that.
And before I let you go, is there anything out there you would like to tell someone that is in the shoes that you were in 20 years ago or when you were born? Mm-hmm. And they want to achieve what you've achieved. What should be their mindset, I guess, or what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, thank you for letting me do that. Basically, focus on what it is you want. Whatever that is, just focus on it. And understand that it will not happen overnight, but if you focus on what you want, whatever that is, you can achieve it. You just have to basically want it bad enough. And honestly, the more that you want it and the more that you focus on it, you can have it. It's really that simple.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you for being on. I mean,
thanks,
I feel like I've learned a lot, and I think people that are going to watch this and hear it are going to learn something too. For real, you are truly. I mean, I know that you're an inspiration to everybody, dude. I mean, just achieving something, like just knowing, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's hot stuff, man. That's good stuff.
It's so awesome. It's awesome of you to find me and put me on your show. So I totally appreciate that a lot, dude.
Right on. Anything else you want to say before you go? Before I let you go?
No, man. Thanks a lot, though. Maybe you're in Hawaii, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe I'll make it to Hawaii sometime this year. I'll hang out.
Hell yeah. Awesome. I'll go watch you at the gym. Because I don't do the gym. Right on. Okay. Well, I really appreciate it, dude. And have a very good day. All right, man. All right. Take it easy. Thanks a lot, man. Woohoo.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.